Hey, folks, this is the podcast, My Messages to Black Men. I'm going to talk about several things here, two things actually. One, I'm going to talk a little bit about the runoff. The two black men were in a runoff for a Senate seat in Georgia. That is very significant. It's very important. And there are a lot of lessons we can pull from that, at least for black men who really want to sit down and engage in thoughtful discussion about issues as they impact the community as a whole. So I will be reaching out to some local black political thought leaders, and we're going to be discussing that. Because let me tell you something, folks. Again, two black men fighting for the Senate seat. One, a Democrat, Warnock. Democratic Party fell behind that brother. They were all over him. They were begging him. They were tossing everything at him but the kitchen sink. They were letting him know, man, we need you to win this. On the other side, Republican, Herschel Walker, same thing. They were falling all over him, throwing everything at him as far as finances and resources and support, everything they could at him. All right, folks, we need to look at that. I don't want us black men looking at that as Democrats or as Republicans. I want us to look at that as black men who has a commitment to uplifting the black community. I want us as thoughtful thinking, critical thinking, thought leaders, political thought leaders, to say, hey, what are some of the issues? What are some of the lessons we can learn from this in seeing two black men vying for power? It's about power. When you're talking about politics, you're talking about power. It's about power. That's what that whole campaign was about. And as black men, we need to learn from that. There was a time in this country when Negroes couldn't safely walk the street, couldn't vote, were not allowed to read, and now we have two black men who are competing for a Senate seat, and that Senate seat, Warnock winning, that's power. It's powerful. That's a power swing for the Democratic Party. They happy. They celebrating. For the Republican Party, if they had won that seat, oh my Lord, they would have been celebrating, would have been happy because of power. And we need to understand that. We black men need to understand that and think more about that. What are some of the lessons we can pick up from that? I get it. You're a black dude. You're all into the left-wing Democratic Party narrative and agenda. I get that. But brothers, you need to, quietly, discreetly, come sit down with us other black men and have a discussion about power, how the black community can get more of it and how they should properly exercise it. Okay? Here's the second thing I want to bring up. And I will be bringing on some local, what I call local black male political thought leaders to discuss that. Here's the second thing I want to say. Here's the second thing I want to put out there. All right. We got some black men, namely Roland Martin, possibly others I saw him with this T-shirt called, it was saying, vote like a black woman. Boy, that was a powerful statement. We need to analyze that. We need to think about that. Because you know what they're really saying. The reality is black women are becoming increasingly moving more to the left in the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party, they're all into that identity politics, and they're rewarding them left and right. Hey, we'll give you this position, this leadership slot. It's all fine and good. But is that really good for the black community as a whole? Does that really enhance black community power in the United States of America? I would argue it doesn't. I would argue that black male political leadership we should try to start figuring out certain things that are just nonpartisan. We should start adopting principles, positions, platforms that are just immutable. We're just not going to move from it. We need to start understanding, hey, no permanent friends, no permanent allies, only permanent interests. All right, that's not my original quote. Somebody else said that. I can't remember who it is right offhand. We need to start thinking like that. Okay? And we got a lot of these black women, a lot of these liberal, radical black women in the Democratic Party referring to abortion as a medical procedure. That's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. And then want to run off to church and hooping and hollering and, thanking the Lord. Thanking the Lord for what? For killing our seed? For killing our legacy? For killing our children? Yeah, Black Lives Matter, unless it's a black life in the womb. You got places up in New York where there are more babies being killed than being born. Do your research. The killing of black children in the womb is a nonpartisan issue. And if we got more and more and more black women in the Democratic Party pushing for the killing of our children, we have an issue. Black man, we have an issue. And we to discuss it. We need to put it out there. I'll never forget, Warnock saying Jesus would. This is not a direct quote, but he did say something like this. I stand by what I'm about to say. Jesus would perform abortions. Jesus would be okay with abortions. Whoa. Think about that, folks. Really? Having a black man say that, but I can understand why that black man would say that, because the Democratic Party is increasingly moving to the left, and it is for the most part, it's increasingly moving towards white cultural Marxism. And it has, for the most part, always been about eugenics, population control, keeping the black population down. Folks, Margaret Sanger was a white supremacist. She's the founder of Planned Parenthood. Do you not understand what a eugenicist is? Do you not understand what a white supremacist is? Do you not understand why she was so vehement about pushing abortion to black ministers? Warnock's a black minister. Do you not understand that? What her agenda was? And do you not understand Hillary Clinton? She's a major fan of Margaret Sanger. Do you not understand that Planned Parenthood is a major, major funder to Democratic Party candidates? Locally, nationally. Folks, I got an issue with that. And you got some black folks, some black male thought leaders, they keep saying, oh, that's a right-wing thing. That's what the Republican Party wants, and therefore anything the Republican Party wants is racist, and I want nothing to do with it. What? Negro. What? Think about what you're saying. And I can understand us having liberal conservative differences on, foreign policy, taxes, infrastructure. But how can we as black men be so nonchalant and casual? Well, yeah, go ahead and kill that baby. Go ahead and kill my son. Go ahead and kill my daughter. Now, I ain't got no problem in sitting back and seeing the murder, the killing of my father's great-grandchildren. No problem. You go ahead and do that. So I'm setting up a program where we're going to have some black men sit around. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. That's a serious issue, brothers. We got to talk about that. And then the third thing we're going to talk about, there's a lot of black males who are rightfully and falsely accused of anti-Semitism. But it amazes me how there's a lot of black men accused of that. I mean, vehemently accused of that. Whoopi Goldberg was accused of anti-Semitism. Black men, listen to me. Whoopi Goldberg was accused of anti-Semitism. She said on The View, on their television program, that the Holocaust, the Holocaust that occurred in Europe against, overwhelmingly against white Jews. She wasn't denying it. I mean, nobody in their right mind denies the Holocaust. It's one of the most well-documented atrocities, in the world. It's well-documented. But she was saying the Holocaust really didn't have anything to do with race. It was about man's inhumanity against man. That's what she's saying. Boy, some folks, you would have thought she stood up there and said, I'm going to beat up your grandmother and take her Social Security check. They start calling Whoopi Goldberg anti-Semitic. Folks, that's not that black woman's real name. Whoopi Goldberg? Hello? Go do your research. Find out why she named herself Whoopi Goldberg. And she's anti-Semitic. Come on, folks. And what does she say? Man's inhumanity against, man. Okay, she might have, really? Was she all that 100% wrong? No. She missed some points. But it wasn't atrocious. It was atrocious, beyond atrocious. It was evil. But look at time and time again throughout human history, man's inhumanity against man. Rwanda. Look at that genocide. Look at the genocide in Cambodia. That's just look at the genocide that happened against the Armenians. I think one thing you can say legitimately is like, my God, what is it about us human beings that we can act so atrociously against other human beings for whatever the reason? That's all she was trying to point out. I get it that there are specifics about the European Holocaust, the Holocaust that happened in Europe against Jews. I get that. But to call this woman anti-Semitic and demand she apologize, and then she had to go on some media appearances and shuck and jive and shuffle? Whoopi Goldberg ain't no daggone anti-Semite. Shut up. Nothing close to it. There's nothing close to it. Whoopi Goldberg is such, and I don't like Whoopi. She's a liberal. She's all into this liberal left-wing, Democratic Party narrative. I think that's disgusting. I have no stomach for it whatsoever. I'd love for her to sit down and talk with some, like a Jason Whitlock over that issue. Or talk with some other Hakeem Adabutu over those issues. Some black men. But call her anti-Semitic for that statement, that's just dumb. And that's just one example. Now, I'm not going to defend Whoopi. I'm really not. But there are a lot of black men who have been, I know for a fact, falsely accused of being anti-Semites. Kyrie Irving, Desmond Tutu, that's just named two. And I would even I used to include in that mix Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. I think, I've sort of said, Minister Louis Farrakhan is called anti-Semitic. Well, why? And when I've sort of reviewed some of his stuff, I've never found him to be a Holocaust denier. Now, if he was a Holocaust denier, I'd say it in a heartbeat. Man, you dumb. That's ridiculous. Can't be no Holocaust denier. That's ridiculous. But he's never been a Holocaust denier. And what he said is that there was a Holocaust that happened against black folk. And that needs to be, raised up as much as the Holocaust that happened against Jewish folk in Europe. That's what he's saying. But he's never denied the Holocaust. And he doesn't view the Holocaust as all something that just happened. It's just a medical procedure. Some idiot saying. No, he understands that. Man, that was evil. That's horrific. That's what in my research on Farrakhan, that's what I've found. And then as far as anti-Semitism is concerned, I found that it appears to be some Jewish folk who regard Farrakhan's position that the original Hebrews, the original Israelites, were black folk. I think some of them regard that as anti-Semitic. And Farrakhan has taken a clear position on that. He said, no, the original Jews, Hebrews, Israelites were black folk. He's done whole sermons on that. And I think that's what some of our white brothers and sisters in the Jewish community, that's what they're characterizing as anti-Semitic. So, okay. Well, to me, that's sort of like a family fight. You know, one side, they're saying we're the true Jews, and the other side, they're saying we're the true Jews. Hey, you know what? Y'all fight that out amongst yourselves. I mean, that's, you know, because I've read both sides, both positions. Now, I think that, you know, I mean, that's just what happens. You know, y'all fight that amongst yourselves. But me studying that whole debate and discussion and all does not make me anti-Semitic. And someone who takes the position that no, black folk are the true Hebrews, true Israelis, etc., does not make them anti-Semitic. Now, if you want to talk about, hey, you know, these white folks who claim that they're Jews, they're not the true Jews, and therefore we must attack them, that's anti-Semitic. You know, people who say, oh, you know, black folk are the true Hebrews, Israelites, whatever, and therefore these guys over here are frauds. Yeah, that's anti-Semitic. Because who are you to call them a fraud when basically they're sort of coming back to you and saying, no, you're the fraud. You know, so I think that's anti-Semitic. Anytime there are threats of violence, it's just wrong. I don't care what side it's coming from. It's just wrong. And we, you know, no thinking black man, no thinking black man should stand behind that, you know, violence. You know, there's some things I've read the Anti-Defamation League, and they're saying, you know, the black Hebrews, Israelites, whatever, anti-Semitic, and then they talk about how some members in their group have attacked Jewish folks, you know, white Jews wearing yarmulkes and stuff and killing them and shooting them. Hey, hell yeah, that's wrong. Heck no, that stuff's got to end right now. But let me tell you something. There are FBI cases where black Hebrews were killing other black Hebrews. And no one in the ADL ever called them anti-Semitic. There are FBI cases where when within a group of black Hebrews, black Israelites, black Jews, whatever way you want to call them, they were killing other black Hebrews, black Jews, and black Israelites. They were killing them, murdering them. I mean stuff like kidnapping them, beating them up, and beheading them. This is an FBI documented case, and there are other cases like that. And so, you know, these other black Hebrews are like, dude, we ain't with that. And, you know, they ran away. They left them. They stayed black Hebrews. But they're like, man, those guys over there, they're nuts. We're not with that. That's not what the Torah's about. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not about killing people like that. Okay? But it's interesting. No one talked about that anti-Semitism. No one's talking about that violence against black Jews, black Hebrews, black Israelites. Hey, folks, let me make this real simple for you. I'm black and I'm slow, and I like to keep things simple. All violence against any Jew, black or white, in Israel or the United States is wrong. How about that? All violence against any Jew anywhere in the world should be regarded as anti-Semitic, and it is wrong. And it is, period, it's wrong. Now, well, I'll just keep it like that. That's it. It's wrong. Now, I've listened to a lot of interviews of some of these guys who say that they're black Hebrews. I've never come across any of them advocating violence against white folks who claim that they're Jews. Not once. If I did, you better believe I'd write their name down and say, that guy's an idiot. He's not just an idiot, he's a dangerous idiot. I wouldn't necessarily call it anti-Semitic. I'd just say that's stupid. I don't care why anybody attacks me. Oh, he's black, Corbin's black, I'm going to attack him. The mere fact that he attacked me, that's all that matters to me. You can sit around and hate me all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. I don't care. You can put it in your publications. I hate this guy because he's black. Okay, cool. Freedom of speech. You go do what you got. You go say what you got to say. But as soon as you threaten me with violence, whoa, hold on. We have an issue here. And then as soon as you attack me, oh, we definitely got an issue. You know. And one issue we might have is some silly white boy talking about he's going to take away my AR-15. No, you're not taking away my weapons the weapons I buy for self-defense. No, you made that up, punk. And then we got these black women saying, oh, I don't like violence. I think that's perfectly justified. Then, sister, you don't know anything about the Deacons for Self-Defense. You don't know anything about the Black Panther Party. You don't know anything about the Second Amendment. You better back the heck off. Ridiculous. Dumb. But anyway, I digressed a little bit. All violence against anyone who regards themselves as a Jew, regardless of their race, it's wrong. And if you want to call it anti-Semitic, call it anti-Semitic. But the violence is wrong. Wrong. And if my taking that position makes me a supporter, makes me a neo-Nazi, a supporter of neo-Nazism, you can go, who cares? I don't care. I stated my position, but I stated very clearly, and I'm not backing off of it. So I digress again, folks. Sorry about that. But those are the two issues I wanted to talk about and bring up. I'm going to bring on some thinking black males. We're going to talk about this from a black male perspective. Here's the last thing I wanted to say. You know, Dr. Kevin Cosby, he's the president of Simmons University. That is one of two HBCUs here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Dr. Cosby said something that he hopes that Deion Sanders is not successful at his new position. Dr. Cosby later issued a retraction, an apology, a clarification on that. And I'm glad Dr. Cosby did that. I personally wouldn't have done it. You never apologize to the mob. The mob's not giving money to Simmons University. Who cares what they think, what they say? Seriously, broke people, who cares what they say or think? But Dr. Cosby, being the man he is, and he is a true scholar, a real intellectual and a thinker. I have a lot of theological and political differences with him, but I have a lot of respect for him as far as I have a lot of respect for him, period. Let me say this about Dr. Cosby and Deion Sanders. You know what you have there? Two winners, two achievers, two performers, two great black men, two great men, period. That's what you have there. Dr. Cosby, it's not about jealousy and envy. And I would hope and pray that Deion Sanders understands that Dr. Cosby really has no ill will towards him. And I hope those two brothers can talk sometime and get together and literally get together. I hope that there's a time Deion Sanders can discreetly come to Louisville, Kentucky and sit down and talk with Dr. Cosby in a one-on-one. And I think that that's the way it should be. Kings should meet with kings. And they should be talking about the kingdom of God. And they also should be talking about how they can work together in uplifting all HBCUs, including Simmons University. Let me tell you, they're both winners. They're both achievers. When you talk about greatness, you're talking about Dr. Kevin Wayne Cosby, and you're talking about Deion Sanders. And I just really hope those two brothers get together. The mob's going to say what they're going to say. They're going to talk their stuff. Whatever. But I hope both kings, Deion Sanders and Kevin Cosby, ignore that and get together and they start talking about, hey, how to build the kingdom of God and how to uplift black folk in the United States of America. So I'm gonna leave it there, man. Please subscribe to my podcast, My Messages to Black Men. In the future, I will be talking more about this whole Deion Sanders thing and what Dr. Cosby's trying to say. And one thing he's trying to say, well, forget what Dr. Cosby's trying to say. I'll be point blank honest with you. Dr. Cosby has motivated us to talk about institution building in the black community. That's what he's trying to, I think that's what he's trying to encourage us to do, and that's exactly how I'm going to respond. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk in future podcasts, we're going to talk about that. We're talking about black men and political power, how to get it, how to maintain it, how to exercise it. And we're also going to talk about this whole thing about how the Democratic Party is now wanting us to push this whole thing about how being a liberal and a cultural Marxist is equivalent to being a true black man, a true black woman. That's some nonsense. Folks, appreciate it. You'll be hearing from me again soon.